Bitcoin is starting to recover after this month's big sell-off, but could the CME gap ruin the rally? Let's take a look at key levels and buy zones, and don't forget, FOMC is this week too. Let's jump in. Hi, this is Paul with ArcisFX with your Bitcoin update for the week. So Bitcoin's been making a bit of a recovery over the last few days with some bullish signals starting to stack up, which has given a little bit of momentum to the bulls, and the bears are no doubt starting to rethink some of their positions. But it's not all about the upside this week, as we do have a CME gap just below the current price action, which is ranging between about 113.5k and 111k. And typically with CME gaps, if they're within the proximity of the price action, it's very easy for market makers to get the price action back down to these levels to get that gap filled, and it would be a perfectly healthy retrace for Bitcoin as well. But be mindful of this gap over the next few days, and if you are thinking of taking a position, then coming in at around the 111, 112k area because of the CME gap would make total sense. And this is Bitcoin 1 hour chart. Now, of course, we're going to talk about all this whipsaw price action in a minute to explain exactly what was going on with that, which was very difficult trading. But the key thing we were looking for was for Bitcoin to hold 110k, which despite multiple attempts, there it goes, there's its first attempt on 20th of October, then it can't do it again the second time, then finally we have a good go at it the third or fourth time, and then we have a bounce from there. And you can see this is the CME gap currently behind the price action with 116k, very strong resistance just overhead. But the good thing is you'll see some of these bullish order blocks coming in at around the CME gap area, starting at 112 to 111k, showing you that the bulls are taking this current price action a little bit more seriously, and bears are starting to reconsider some of their positions. But obviously, just to highlight that, if we scroll down, you can see this is the area we need to come up to break all-time highs. So Bitcoin has got quite a bit of work to do. But this is the bullish trading range above 116k, and we've been knocking on that door with this nice eked out higher high, surpassing this swing on the 13th of October, suggesting the bulls are managing to wrestle back control from the bears, but not potentially before we have a retrace to load up on some more fresh troops, some fresh bulls, and to get this gap filled, which will of course please some parts of the market.
Hi there, I'm James. I'm the founder of ArcisFX. I'd like to personally invite you to join our 24/7 trading group. This is built for traders who want an edge. Inside, you'll get access to live calls on Forex, commodities, crypto, energies, and metals, along with exclusive daily analysis designed to unlock your trading potential. And this in both traditional and now in digital markets. I'm talking Bitcoin, crypto, altcoins, and tethered currencies. You'll gain early access to insider news, real-time updates, real-time support, and premium educational content. If you want to sharpen your skills and boost your success rate, then join me and Paul in this community. This is a fast-growing community of traders who are now writing their own success stories. So don't wait. Join up now. Your edge starts right here.
What I mentioned at the start of the video was, why did we have all of this crazy whipsaw action over the last few days? Why is it taking so long for Bitcoin to finally find its feet and climb upwards? Well, this is a case of the market waiting to see bullish signals. And then when we did get some of those bullish signals starting to stack up from Bitcoin, then people started entering positions, and then we had some more consistent gains out of Bitcoin with less of this sort of whipsaw action. Last week in the last video, we had this bear trap, bull trap scenario where if we just zoom in, we can see that the bulls were trying to maintain the 1-day 200 MA, and the bears were trying to keep the price action below 110k and push it downwards, potentially to this area, which of course is still in play. But as long as the price action remains above the 1-day 200 MA, the bulls have a say in the matter. And of course, as the price action was getting squeezed by the moving average and this upper resistance level of 110k, which is why 110k was so significant, what we were waiting for, of course, was a candle body close on this, the daily chart, or a more significant time frame to confirm that the bulls were winning the battle. And then the second we get a candle body close finally, which was last Friday, we finally got a candle body close on the daily chart above 110k. Look what happens. We get bullish confirmation and the market moves. The daily candle body close was only made possible because Bitcoin manages to hold 110k, and bulls see this, and then they start to enter their positions with a little bit more fervor. The bears have to think again. They've failed to create a trap for the bulls and have failed to push the price action below the 200 MA, and therefore the bulls are back in control. So that's the narrative at the moment. And then, of course, following 110k, following this candle body close, we then had a breakout of this pattern on the 2 hour, which is again another form of bullish confirmation. There's 110k, and now we're trying to find our feet above 112, above that CME gap. And then we had the diagonal breakout on the 12 hour, which added an additional bullish signal, and these signals start start to stack up, these green order blocks start to appear and the red ones start to fade a little bit. And that's how it works. And the reason why we've had all of this crazy whipsaw action was because that battle between the bulls and the bears was taking place. So there's a lot of fake outs in either direction as they were wrestling. Think of it like a tug of war when no side has got a clear direction, and then the bulls will get it and then the bears will get it, and it'll just keep going back and forward until somebody finally wins and one team falls over. And in this case, it was the bears, and the bulls managed to win that game of tug of war. And then people start entering their positions and so forth. So now we have a bullish posture for Bitcoin. If we look at Bitcoin 12-hour chart, you can see a retrace back down to fill this CME gap lines up perfectly with a bullish retest of this diagonal trend line we've just broken out of, and that would be 110k. So that would be perfect, and then we can find our feet and go up from there. So where could Bitcoin go from here? Most likely we're going to have a retrace because of the CME gap. This is the current trading range which we're in, but the most important thing to recognize is that a pullback doesn't really affect the bullish narrative as long as we can maintain some of these key levels which we've just broken out of. Can the CME gap be filled with Bitcoin also remaining bullish? And the answer to that question is yes. So 112k, 111k definitely seems to be the area at the moment to look for. As you can see on this daily chart, I pull back to 110k, allows that CME gap to be filled. It maintains the 1-day 200 MA, and everything's still ripe. And that's the key thing to pay attention to, and this is why bulls are probably back in control. So we could see Bitcoin come back down to fill this CME gap, and that would be a good entrance point if you're thinking of making a long play here. But of course, if we do see a break above 116k before that CME gap is filled, then we might have to reevaluate. And certainly the bulls don't necessarily want to continue up from here and then be forced to give the bears a little bit of a moment in order to get this CME gap filled. So for nice organic price action, we want to see Bitcoin come back down from here, fill this CME gap, pick up some more liquidity, and then maybe range in this area for a little bit between 112 and 116k, and then hopefully then break out from 116k. But as long as Bitcoin remains in this trading range, which now is between 116k and 112, a couple of days ago it was between 114 and 112, but you can see the price action is putting a bearish retest of this previous sub-range here. So this is the floor at around 115, and now we're just retesting it, highlighting the fact that the CME gap looks like to be in play. So Bitcoin's doing okay, still lots of sellers overhead, but of course 116k is local resistance with the point of control 118k just above that. So Bitcoin's got a bit of work to do, but a move back down from here would be a nice organic move, and if buyers can of course hold that line, the sellers will start thinking twice, and maybe more of them will appear up here at all-time highs and give Bitcoin a little bit of room to move up. But we'll also notice that this channel which we're in as well, in addition to 116k local support, 118k overhead resistance, and this middle line of the channel also are highlighting lots of resistance areas. So if you want to know what Bitcoin could do next, it could be something like this, and move back down here to fill the CME gap. We then range for a little bit and try and break above these key levels, and then try and take them one by one. But you can see it's got a lot of work to do that. It's a lot of heavy lifting, as we have essentially resistance right overhead now at 116k, we have resistance overhead at 118k, and then we have resistance here between about 120 and 124k. So Bitcoin is not out of the woods just yet, but the bulls have regained control, at least in the short term. But this is typical of the sort of price action you can see following a crash. It does take Bitcoin a good few weeks, maybe a month or so, to find its feet again. But so far, we're doing okay. But a pullback for Bitcoin over the next few days seems likely. And just to check in with the money flow, this was the crash, and we have been waiting for a diagonal break below this support line for Bitcoin dominance daily chart. And of course, when Bitcoin dominance is going up, that is bad for altcoins. It's not very helpful for altcoins. It means money is proportionally flowing into Bitcoin than it is in the altcoin market. But when Bitcoin has a bullish posture and the sellers are starting to reconsider their positions, and Bitcoin's giving us some stacked bullish signals, we start to see Bitcoin dominance trending downwards. And if we can get a break over the next few days, that would also equal some continued bullish movement for some altcoins, as we have had some pretty decent movement over the last few days for the altcoin market, as Bitcoin was throwing out these bullish signals like candy. But now we know Bitcoin's got a bit of a pullback, there might be a bit of a reset, but if Bitcoin can hold its feet after filling the CME gap, we should see Bitcoin dominance start to make its way down here, which of course would then allow altcoins to have the next leg up in their move following the last few days. But that's it for now. I'm Paul with ArcisFX. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop us a comment. I'll be back on Thursday for altcoin picks and Friday for my weekly live stream where you can ask questions, get me to check out tokens you're thinking of trading, and see how Bitcoin is doing at the back end of the week, so we can see if that CME gap did get filled. And of course, we do have FOMC this week as well. But also, if you're not already in our private group, you can check out the link in the description, as we would love to have you. Catch you in the next one.